Hello there. In this video, we are going to see how to add a module to your ABP application with a separate database. What do I mean by separate database? If you saw the ABP eShop application, you will have a really good representation of how the microservice architecture will look like. And here, if you saw, each service has its own database. So identity service has its own database, same as payment service has its own database. So these services are created based on modules. So first is to add a module and then add a host, and make sure you are connecting that module to your separate database. In this sample, we are not going to create a microservice solution. We are going to create a monolithical solution in the sense that we are going to create a tired application. And then in the tired application, we will add a module and we will store the data of that module in this fashion, where you have a service or where you have a module and also a separate database where the module's data is stored. Why are we doing this? So once the application grows, we can easily convert this module into a microservice. If you want to explore this eShop application, go and check out all the services, and each services will have architecture which is similar to a modular architecture of the ABP application. So to follow along, we have created a repo with all the code required, and we have also created a README article. This is what we are going to use to create the modular application right now. So if you can also read the README article, or you can watch the video. It's up to you. We will follow along and then demonstrate the module creation and also how to do the migration for that module, storing things separately, everything. Okay, let's get started. I have already created a folder called module demo tired. This is where we are going to create our application. So I hope I don't have to explain this command. Here we are saying the name of the application is main app, and then we are saying the ABP CLI, we want the app template, and the UI is going to be MVC, and then tired says layer our application so that the API and the identity server and the web layers are separated. It's not coupled together like we do in the default ABP application. Okay, let's copy that and then paste it in the terminal. That will create a ABP application for us. Okay, our application is created. Let's open that in the Explorer. We have our application ready with the name main app. Let's open that in Visual Studio. Okay, the solution is opened. Now you can see the projects here. So the host project is separated, the identity server, and then web. So to run this application, we have to actually run all three, because the host project depends on the identity server project and the web project depend on the host project. Yeah, and as always, first we have to run the DB migrator to set up the database. So let's come here, choose the DB migrator application, and then run the DB migrator. Let's wait for the DB migrator to start. Okay, our migration is done now. We can close this. Once this is done, you can actually go to the properties, and you will have multi-startup project. In the multi-startup, you have to choose, first is identity server, the second is host, and the third is web. And you have to click apply. Once you have done that, you can click OK. Now you can you see that here it says a multi-startup project, and then now click start. This will start all the 3 projects at the same time. Now the application has launched, and click login. Now we are going to the identity server, and everything works. Okay, you can see all the 3 applications are launched. The API is in 396. The identity server is in 44380, and our web app is running on 44380. Okay, let's close this. And since that is working fine, let's go to the tutorial and then see what is the next step. The next step is to add a module. We are going to use the ABP CLI add module command. The name of the module is module A. We are mentioning a new flag saying, hey, create a new module. It's not an existing module. And then add solution to add to the solution file means just add the reference, and also the module depends on to the module file. I have shown that how this works in the last video. Go and check out the last video to learn more about what happens when you added a new module. So we will copy that and then paste it here. One more thing I want to point out is, our terminal crashed. I don't know what happened. Let's try to run the command again. Okay, module A has been successfully created. You have to keep one thing in mind. This add module command is running on the root folder of the solution. So we actually created the ABP application in this directory. This is where the solution file is available, and we have to run the add module command there. So once the module is created, let's go and see. Okay, our module is available. Let's make sure the reference is available as well. Open, yes, we have a project reference, and we also have depend on application name. Okay, module A application. The add module command ran successfully. So next step is to create an entity. So we are going to create an entity in the module A. So the entity name is to do one. This is pretty basic ABP stuff. We will create API, but the API will be inside the module, similar to the default applications demo. So I will go through this faster. Copy this, paste it, and we are using entities. The next step is to add the DB set in the DB context of the module A. Okay, that is done. And the third is to configure the entities. So that is available in configure module A. Here we come here and then screen. Okay. Now the next step is to add the migration to the module A. So usually the migrations are available in the main app .entity framework. So this is where the migrations for the identity server and all the identity stuff is available. But we want to store our module data in a separate database. To do that, we need a migration, and the migration will happen in the API host, because that is where our API is hosted. And we will add a folder, add a connection string here, and also add a migration to the module in this host. So first is to create a entity framework core folder in the host project. The next is I will create a module A folder, because we can actually have multiple modules. So each module can have its own migration in the host. We will soon see how to host each module as a microservice. So that means each module will have its own host. Make sure you subscribe, and then once we did that video, you will get notified. Then the next is to create a migration DB context. So this will go inside this module A folder. So the first thing is to create a file called. So we added this class, and I will copy this and replace it. So basically, this is a in-place DB context for the module A. You can see that we are actually using module A dot entity framework. So we are actually calling the configure module A from this DB context, and the migrations will be stored based on this DB context. It will not be using the module A's DB context, which is here, module A DB context. We are actually going to connect the migration module A HTTP migration DB context to this DB context through configure module A. And the next one is we have to build the connection string. So if you this is just a design time factory, just create this file name. If you are familiar with EF Core, this should make sense. But if you are thinking like, what the hell is going on, I would recommend you go and then check out this documentation for EF Core integration in ABP. This provides a really good explanations of what we are doing here and how we are actually depending upon how we are creating entities and how we are adding repositories, and also how the migrations also work. It is available here in the database migration, about the code first migration and the database structure. Yeah, so this is what we are actually doing. So by basically every module can have its own database, or if the module database is not available, it will actually fall back to the default connection string. Instead of falling back to the default connection string, we are actually saying, hey, for this module, store it in this database. So the next step is to go and create the design time factory. Okay, so this design time factory expects a connection string named module A. So we have to update the app settings and provide a connection string for the module A. Let's do that now. We will copy this and then update the connection string here. And now this is the time to create the migration. This is again a simple migration. We are mentioning the name of the migration, and we are providing a context for this migration, which is the migration DB context which we created. And we are also specifying an output directory, which we have not created, but it will be automatically created by EF Core. If you mention an output directory, it will automatically create it for you and then store the migrations there. So we are saying like, put our migrations in migration/module A. Let's copy this. We will run that in the HTTP API host. This is the project name, mainapp.http-api.host. This is where we created the EF Core and module A migration DB context, and this is where we will run the EF Core commands. Just go and then find the, that did that go? I want to find the terminal. Yeah, open in terminal. Okay. Okay, the migrations are created. You can see that here a migration folder is created, and then a module A folder is created, and then in the module A, we have a migration called created to do one. Let's open that and then check what happened there. Here it says, yeah, create table, blah, 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 and everything which we need is actually available. Now we can actually go and say update, .NET. I have the command here. Okay, so here we are also saying database update, but we are mentioning the context as module HTTP API host migration context, which we created just now. Let's copy that and then paste it here. Okay, so now we have our database created. So if you want to go and check, you can go to the SQL Server, local DB, database. So we have a main app, which we have created, and then you can go and check out the tables, all the identity server tables, and then the tenant management audit log, all the tables are available here. And then we have a module A and tables, and we have module A to do one table here, and you can go and check out the columns as well. It's just a content and it's a very simple to do content. Okay, the next step is to create a DTO. The DTO will be available in this contracts. Go to do one DTO, and here add a to do DTO. Okay, just using entity DTOs. The next step is to add the automapper mappings that will be added in the application project. Now we have the app service, that is the to-do app service. Let's go and add a to-do app service here. Okay, the Chrome is acting up. Maybe just copy and paste. Okay, let's, if you don't know how to create an application service, it's a very simple application service. It inherits from a module A application service, and we are using a generic repository, and then we are basically doing a CRUD operation. If you want to know more about the application service, I have added a documentation link here. And the ABP documentation has a really good explanation of how to create and how does this application service works. So the next step is to add the default repositories. This should be added in the module A entity framework. Let's go to the module A entity framework module, and then here, this is where you say, okay, this actually means that the default repository should be available for all the entities. We don't have to do this, and the last step is to create. This step is actually automatically added by the ABP CLI. So if you go to the in EF core main DB context, it will have a configure module A. So that's what that means. But we don't actually need it because we are going to use the DB context, which is available from the API host. And in the API, in the module A DB context, we also have a configure module A, which is already available. So ignore that. And I will also remove that from the article. So the last thing is to add the auto API controller. So that will be added here in the main app HTTP API host module. So you will have a main application. This is for main application. We are actually saying, hey, do the same for a module A as well. So using module A, this will does the automatic controllers for main app. This will do it for module A. That's pretty much it. So how do we test our application? So we will have to run the application again. Okay, you can see the module A is available in your app. This is the web app. Then there is identity server, and then there is Swagger. This is where we hosted our module A's API. So let's come and see whether we see those APIs. Here we see the to-do one. First is to go and check out whether yes, we had get an empty response. So let's create the to-do. We don't need an ID, and let's say to-do one, and is done as false. Execute, and we have our to-do created. So if you come back to the get request, execute, we have our to-do request, and you can come back to the database, SQL Object Explorer table, and then right click and then say view data. Yes, we have a to-do and a false. So we have created a module, stored the data. We created an API in that module and created a migration with EF Core and stored the data from that API in a separate database. This is just a starting point for adding a module and also keeping it separate from the main solution. I would also want to show you, like, if you go into the module which was created for us, if you open the modules, module A, you will see there is some module A solution. You can actually open it in Visual Studio. Okay, it's opening in another window. I'm going to bring it. Okay, so you can see it's already prepared with an assumption that this is going to be a microservice. So, but right now we are adding it to the main solution. The host is empty. The next video, we can actually see like how to create a host and host this module as a microservice, so that you can create your own microservices and then keep adding services separately, and or you can actually keep adding the modules here and then keep adding the migrations in your HTTP API host, and then create a modular monolith application. It's up to you. So this is one of the ways to create a modular monolith application. Yeah, so there are quite a few possibilities here. This is pretty much for this video. If you want to keep learning more content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and then we will see you again in another video. Bye-bye.